So last video we planed these down to our finished thickness of 7/8 of an inch. And remember, these are oversized at this point. So this is 15 and 7/16 by 21. And what we need is 14 and a half by 19 and 3/16. 14 and a half is our width, 19 and 3/16 is our length. Okay? So we have more material here than we need. It's part of our 20% or 25% that we added on when we did our bill of materials. I want to pick the better edge now. And I want to join that edge on here because I'm going to use that joined edge on the fence, the table saw, to rip to width. Thickness, width, length. Okay? So in coming in here today, I noticed there was some rust accumulating on the tabletop here. I don't know if it's just because of the moisture that we've been having in the area or what, but I spent some time and waxed all the surfaces again. And I went back and made sure that my fence is at a 90-degree angle. So now what we're going to do is we are going to join the better of these two edges. Let me get my glasses. So on this one here, I have written out, because this is the nicer of the two sides here, nicer of the two faces. Why? Because this one has the sap in between and it looks nice, but the sap in between really tells the person that this is not one board. There's two boards, two pieces of heartwood with sap in between. So I'm going to have this as the side that I want. I'm also going to look and see if I can take just the area of heartwood here, and I can't. I have to have more than that allows me to have. So I'm going to join this one here because there's less area of sap, and I'll try to cut off all of that sapwood there. So I'm going to join this edge, considering that's my better edge. The grain goes off going this way, so I'm going to put it forward so that my blade is compressing the grain rather than tearing it up. And one more thing, when I waxed all these, I turned the breaker off, so I turn it back on. Board's wider than the fence, so I'm not using a push to. Okay? I'm just going to put a little line here to remind myself that's the side that I joined. This board here, this is my outside, and yeah, I have sap in the middle here, but that's the better edge, so I'm going to join this edge. Grain goes off like that, so I'm going to put this side forward. I'll put a little mark there to remind myself which edge I did. Okay? So now we have a good edge on there. We'll use that on the fence, and we'll go to the table saw and we'll rip it to our 14 and a half finished width. Splitter that's on presently doesn't, or the throat plate that's on presently doesn't have a splitter on it. I want to make sure the throat plate that has the splitter on it is in. That's my good edge. My blade goes up. My guard goes on. In this class, there's no expectation that you are going to use the table saw. I'll make the cuts for anybody, unless you want to have some practice using the table saw, then I absolutely will allow you, but I want to be present while you do that, okay? guard always goes on. I do, however, have an expectation, though, that you'll get to this setup here. Set your fence to 14.5. You get the guard on, and you get the blade height where it has to be to cut the material that you're cutting. That is on you, okay? And I come over and I will make the cut. Now we have our width. We had the thickness before we even started today. Now we have our width, and the last thing we're going to do is to create our length of 19 3/16. Most accurate 90-degree angle for our cross cuts, we're going to use a sled. So to begin with, I'm going to choose my better end, and I'm going to just take a little bit off that to square up that end. I'm going to square this end here. Bring your blade up. Sometimes this little piece here will slide out through the opening here, and it's startling, but it's not dangerous. It has to be very small to be able to fit through that. So again, I'm going to mark the end that I did that I know is good. Check the ends of this, decide on which one I think is better of the two. I'm going to use this one here. Indicate that that's the end that I've squared. Now, the reality is it's pretty easy to tell usually because the other end hasn't been cut and they're not even whatsoever. But now I want to mark my finished length. 19 3/16. I have that marked here. And I'm going to bring that up to where the blade is and align my mark with the blade edge. Notice I'm not drawing a line across then cutting it to that. I'm marking where it is, lining up with the blade. And then I'm setting a stop block here. So my stop block's going to go onto my sled and get clamped. That's going to be my way of eliminating human error, of cutting too close to the line or not close to the line. Using a physical barrier here so the pieces are identical in length. That's the extra that we had. These two cutoffs, you can see where our glue joint is there in the middle. It should be that when I break this, the grain's all run this way, so it's pretty easy to break. When I break it, it shouldn't break where that glue joint was there. So I chose the right end for what I thought was the better of the two ends there. It's supposed to break off that glue joint like that one did. The glue is stronger than the grain of the wood. So it shouldn't break where that glue joint is. So now we have two boards, 14 and a half, or 7/8 thick, 14 and a half wide, 19 3/16 long.